Most of the men who come have spent years living a double life. They are hiding behaviors, they're carrying secrets, they're making promises they can't keep. They've been in therapy before, they've read books, they've listened to podcasts, they've learned about themselves. But despite all that understanding, these people still stay stuck.
Welcome back to the Reconnection Podcast. Today we're talking about something many listeners have heard us reference throughout previous episodes, the Reconnection Model. What exactly is it? How is it different from traditional therapy? And why has Dr. Michael Barta built his entire intensive program around it? Dr. Barta, thanks for being here.
Yeah, and thanks for introducing this topic.
So what led you to create it?
Well, for years I watched men go through therapy and gain insight. They understood their childhood. They could understand their trauma. They understood why they were doing what they were doing, but they weren't changing. And the reason is because they were understanding things intellectually, but they were still acting out. They're still lying. They're still hiding. They're still hurting themselves and the people they loved. And eventually I realized something really important is that insight is valuable, but insight alone doesn't create change. And that's the problem with traditional therapy is we get these insights, but it's not actually creating change. Understanding why you're stuck isn't the same as getting unstuck. And so people need a structured path. They need a model, a process that moved them from awareness to accountability to eventually genuine connection. And that's how the Reconnection Model was born.
Well, let's start with the first part of the model. What is awareness?
Well, awareness is the first step of anything, okay? And knowing I have a problem. It's knowing how I became who I am right now. Because before we can change behavior, we have to understand where the behavior came from. And most people are trying to change a behavior while they completely ignore the experiences that shaped them using that behavior. And in my work, we spend time looking at attachment, family relationship, developmental wounds, trauma, and the messages people learned about themselves growing up, because most addictive and sexually compulsive behaviors didn't appear out of nowhere. They developed for a reason. The behavior was helping the nervous system solve a problem. And when we understand the problem, everything starts to make more sense. And I always tell clients, this isn't about blaming parents. It's not about blaming the past. It's not about being stuck in the past. It's about understanding the wiring that we got from our early experiences so we can stop fighting ourselves and start working with ourselves.
Okay, so we start with awareness. What's the next step?
Well, the next step is going to be accountability, okay? Because this is where people get uncomfortable. Accountability isn't just admitting something happened. It's creating a life where honesty becomes easier than secrecy. And most men have spent years developing systems to support hiding. And what we need to do is build a system that supports honesty. It supports authenticity. And that's why we create a structure of daily accountability, honest conversations, clear boundaries, recovery practices, because the goal isn't punishment. The goal is support. And I often tell men that accountability is like a scaffolding that holds them up while they build a new life. Without it, most people are going to eventually slide back into old patterns.
So what's the overall goal here? Is it reconnection?
Yeah, the overall goal is reconnection. And this is the heart of the entire model, because ultimately recovery isn't about stopping behavior. Recovery is about rebuilding connection. Connection with yourself, with your partner, with your children, and connecting with other people in real ways. And most of the men I work with have been disconnected from themselves long before they became disconnected from everybody else in their life. The lies, the secrecy, the hiding, the addiction, those things gradually create isolation. So again, the goal isn't just to stop acting out. The goal is to help someone reconnect with the parts of themselves they lost along the way, and then begin rebuilding trust with the people they hurt. Because trust doesn't come back because someone apologizes. Trust comes back because someone constantly shows up differently over time. And that's what reconnection looks like.
So how does this process actually happen inside your program?
We really go into, finding what occurred. All right. There's the awareness, there's what changed our nervous system and things like that. Because the intensives gives us time and space to go deeper than traditional weekly therapy. So we're uncovering the roots, we build awareness, we establish accountability, we begin creating a roadmap for healing. But the intensive isn't the end, it's just the beginning. That's why every participant, starting in August, receives the 90-day integrative experience as well. Because real connection doesn't happen during a breakthrough moment. Real change happens when those insights are integrated into daily life. And this 90-day integration process helps these guys practice what they learned, helps them stay accountable to continue building connections in their life long after they leave the intensive.
So who is the reconnection model designed for?
It's for men living a double life, but it's for men who are ready to change. Okay. It's men who decided they want to change. It's for guys who are exhausted from making promises they can't keep. Men who are tired of hurting themselves and the people they love. It's also for partners and families who want to see real change instead of another temporary attempt at recovery by a different means, right? The reconnection model isn't about managing symptoms. It's about addressing the root of the problem that caused the symptoms in the first place.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Barta. Today, we explored the reconnection model, why it was created, and how awareness, accountability, and reconnection work together to create lasting change. If you'd like to learn more about Dr. Barta's approach to healing, visit drmichaelbarta.com to learn more about his monthly reconnection intensives. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Reconnection Podcast.
Thanks so much.